All right, I'm going to get into a little bit about regatta racing. This is the Ranger database. I'm going to go over here to the part that has to deal with the regatta racing. Basically, it's compiled in FileMaker Pro, and it's a runtime version. It's included in the Ranger database. But basically, whenever you're running a regatta, you're going to need to do a registration sheet. And in this case, I've got 30 records in this database, and they're basically all blank. And all I have is just the 30 records that I've created. These are the classes that I'm going to be running. They're this group right in here, and they're set up to when you click on that one, then that tags that as that one, and so on. So if you want to change those, you can come right over here, and you can delete those and change them. Just in case you delete all of your records in this file, you can paste these over to here into this one here, and it will put those back in. If you wanted to change the classes that you're running, let's say you're running a scout troop or running a different age groups, you could put it in there whatever you wanted to. For example, well, let's just put in here BS1, like BS first grade, BS second grade, or whatever you wanted to do, and then it will add those groups in here. So if you want to tag them like that, you can do that. If you want to get rid of these right here, just delete them and get them out of there, and then you only have these two sections in here. So it's very configurable for what you want to do. If you get it all messed up and you don't want to do it, then you can go to the master and it will paste it in there, and then it will change it back to that. So I recommend that you put in the list, then the classes you want in here, and then if all else fails, you can put this back into this thing right here. This allows you to edit these classes, and that's what that's for. Okay, whenever you're doing registration, what I do is I pre-register or I pre-print these registration sheets at home, and also print the race number. And this is a full size 8.5 by 11, and I basically tell them to fold this in half, tear it in half, and then paste this and that, put that or tape that on the front of the boat and that on the back of the boat, so that the people can see it. And then go back to the registration, and they fill this out with their boat name, the captain's first name, the captain's last name, their church name, and the troop number, that kind of a thing. These have to deal with the event that we run. We'll offer a noon meal, and if you put the number of meals in there, it calculates all this in here. So that's kind of an extra deal there. And then there's also another database that tracks the church number and outpost number, so it'll keep you from having to type it all in. And then after you've done all that, you've got your boats that you're ready to go. This is where most of your racing will be done. After you've entered all your boys and your boats' names, it fills this all information out here and the classes that they're in, and then you will run your races. Now, I'm going to go ahead and import a little data into this, and we'll see what we get. Okay, I just imported some data in here, so we won't be looking at an empty file. And basically, these are our boats 1 through 14, and then I had one that we just somehow got in there out of order, boat 21. These are the boat information. These boats have already ran, and I've been messing with the date on there, so there's not a boat that runs in 8 seconds. But these are the design and the team and the Titanic scores. And basically how you run this is you click on this help button, and you may have to drag, if this is up like this, you may have to drag that down to the corner and read this information, and this is basically what it tells you. Then if you need to get hold of me, here's my contact information at the end of that file. But I'm going to show you go ahead how to tag this. Let's say I want that boat to run, those two boats to run with A. We could tag them all A if we wanted to, and they would all run it together. And then tag this one as a B, 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 and let's put this one under C. And all this is doing is creating a heat order. And that was a D, 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 and D. Okay. And whenever you're creating your heat order and you're getting ready to run, let's say I was going to run these 3 boats or 4 boats. So I hit Y, 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 and I've got 3 boats here getting ready to run right here because they have a Y in there. After they've completed a run, that gets a Z. So you use A all the way up to You don't use Y, but A, that puts them in your heat order, and you can tag them in there. You can have 30 A's if you wanted to, or 30 B's or whatever. It's just whatever you want to do, or 1 or 2, and it's just racing them for time. So they're ready to race, and you've got your yes, Y in there. They're ready to go. You click your start button. It automatically sets a timer, puts a time in there when they started, and then as they come in, you click the stop button, and they go on in, and a lot of times these things will run 7 to 15 minutes, and so it keeps track of it and puts their time in there. Okay, and then as they run, it puts a Z in there, so they're ready to run again. Okay, the next heat would be these B's here, so we'd mark them as Y's, and they're ready to run. So we got ready, and they're all Y's. Yes, they're ready to run. The start button, and their time has been set, and they're taking off running. And as soon as they come in, we click the timer on them, and they go in that way. Okay, so let's go back here and click on that, and you have these boats that have already been racing. Let's say you had 2 boats in here. Let's say this one was 2 churches or 2 groups in the same church, and we didn't want them to run, so we'd go D, and let's say C, and then that'll resort them, reorder them, and then you have your boats that are getting ready to run. So again, if you wanted them to run, just Y, 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 and Y, and get your boats ready. That's the boats that are running. Click your start, and so on. And as soon as they come in, there they go. They have their time. So also you have a omit and a restart button. You can use this button down here to make it larger. And if it's sunk, that puts their total time in there. So if the boat sunk, then you would just click right there, and it would put that time in there with plus about 20 minutes, so that they don't get a speed record. So anyway, there you go there, and let's go back here to the boat racing, and then once you've done all your racing, all your boats are in Z mode. Let's say we got to run these again one more time just to make sure they're all ran, and all I'm doing is clicking on the boats. We got 3 Y's ready. They're getting ready to run. Click start, and so say that boat sunk. It put a bunch of time in there for them, and it's like 10 minutes to their time. So that puts them towards the end where they can't get a heat ribbon race. So you can do the omit, and then it also, the judges record this as a sunk boat. Okay, then when it comes time to all your boats have ran, because they all have Z's in them, and then it's time for your sorting of your speed. So we'll click on sort race time by speed, and you have, in this case, 2 different groups that you're running. Let's go ahead and go back to the registration sheet, and you will notice that those were sorted by other values that were not in here. So we deleted all the records. We didn't have these in there. So let's fix the problem by clicking this in there, and it puts it in there. Now this will fill out here, and all the classes that match that, they will be ARs and RKs. And so that kind of a deal there, which we only had those 2 classes running. So if you go back here to your tally sheet, there they are. They're your groups, and so it figured that out. Now, if you ever had like 2 of them tagged, that there's going to be more than one, so that's really a mistake doing it that way. Okay, so the same goes with your design. That shows you your time is there. Sort by your design. It shows your design. And these are your first and second, third, and fourth places. Same with team. Changes your teamwork and shows your first, second, third, fourth. It just reorders it by the number and by whatever fields, whatever. It's sorting it by the age group plus the biggest number. So there's your Titanic awards and so on. So a little bit about the judges. The judges, I'll print this off and give 5 judges. Each one of them will get a notebook with all my numbered boats 1 through 30 or whatever. And as they boat races, they'll fill in their, of course, they're in numerical order so that I can find them. And let's just go back over here to the tally sheet. Put this in the boat number rank, which will unsort it, and then go over here to the judges tally sheet. So now they're all in numerical order. And each judge, whenever they're judging, like Judge 1 is the same name all the way through here, so they know to fill out their judge name. Like I just say you're Judge number 1, Judge number 2, Judge number 3, Judge number 4, and then I have them write their name on top of a piece of paper. And generally this stays blank, except whenever I get done with it, just for information. Okay, so look at the tally sheet. Let's look at total numbers. If you want to keep track of all the scores all the way across there, for your fees, for who paid, for meals, that's information's there as well. And then your staff. This is the staff, the people. Before the race starts, you go around and you get all your staff lined out for your different jobs, and these explain who's doing what, that kind of a thing. And that's all done there. And then back to registration. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. You can also print certificates and notes. You got people calling in telling how many people are ordering the dinners, how many boats. You can keep track of it that way as well. And then your certificates, which is basically right here, and put a picture in there and do certificates if you want to. That's pretty much it. There's a few other things in here after you've started it and you want to reset your number and create some more records after a certain point. You just put this in there, and as it creates it new, it'll add those numbers to it. And you can store on any field in here, that kind of thing as well. And I think that's pretty much it. So